The Capstone course is not just a single piece of code that you write over 10 weeks. It's a more collaborative, hands-on process. Gives an opportunity to be a part of the development process of a single product from start to finish, from everything from planning it, from collaborating, from the actual coding and the actual testing and the final demos and everything. And how many other classes do you get to work with a Kinect? So it's really, that part's really cool, that it's such a cutting edge technology that we get to work with.
We are Team N51. Our whole purpose was to supplement the demonstration abilities of a presenter in the atrium with the WWT Code. That means we are implementing voice commands and motion commands in order to traverse the solar system. You can travel to locations on Earth. I have a major city in every state so far.
Go to Seattle.
You can travel to all the different planets in the solar system. Go to Mars. You can manipulate all the different settings and modes and views.
The specifics, what we're using are the skeleton tracker to determine where the hands and shoulders are.
Hi, we're Team Guide Dog for the Kinect Capstone this quarter, which is intended to be like a mobility tool for the visually impaired. You can kind of think of Guide Dog as kind of like an exploratory prototype for a system that might help a user locate their missing keys within a room.
We also have an audio user interface. What you're hearing there is the beacon for the destinations. But once you get all the way to your destination, there's a arrival sound that gets played.
Actually try a blindfolded test. All right. Should be around here somewhere.
I feel computer science in general is a very interesting subject. There are a lot of cool applications that you can use, especially in modern day where it's still new and expanding. We have the state machine, which is very complex in terms of actual implementation, but once we extend that, it's very simple. For example, some of the brushes we made yesterday in about 5 minutes.
And so in our future, we also use the skeleton tracker. They're awesome systems, but they have a lot of quirks.
Our milestone, we were able to draw, which is great.
We made these motion buttons so you can either activate them by sound. So if I say color, we'll go into the color menu.
What we wanted to do is basically map 3D places in space so a user could walk into a space and just be able to play their drums. That was a big goal of ours, to make it simple for the user to understand what's going on and when they're playing and what they're playing and what the different sounds are going to be. And we got a full drum kit set up.
Use the skeletal tracking to give ourselves an estimate of where our hand is at.
We have the drums color-coded, symbols are represented by yellow, and the hover state is represented by red, and then the snare drum is white.
Our product is Gesture Studio, and we wanted to make something that's convenient and where you can control your computer and do commonly used hotkeys and do those with hand gestures. And we want to give the user a better and more natural and intuitive user experience. We've already sampled data from about 15 different people for 9 different gestures, but we also support live gesture learning, so people can go in and add their own gestures and add them to their own commands.
And so our linear classifier, basically it uses an object's characteristics to identify which class it belongs to. So in our case, given a feature vector, the prediction model is able to predict which gesture it is.
The goal of our project is to allow people to point within the planetarium. And so if you know where someone's pointing, you can do all these cool things. You can bring up a tooltip. So if you point at a star, maybe you bring up like an information dialog box that says kind of how big the star is, where it's located, things like that. It's been really interesting. We definitely had to learn a lot, especially like mathematical stuff. So it's kind of, you don't really think about this. We didn't think about this at all before we started, but the Kinect sees one thing, and it's everything relative to where the Kinect is positioned. And so in order to figure out where they're pointing, you have to do all these kind of transformations to change like the kind of the reference frame is what they call it. The best thing about it is basically getting 10 weeks to just do a project with some really good friends, and it's pretty unstructured. So it's like, what do you think is cool? What do you want to do? What are you interested in? And you can just do whatever you really are excited about. And so I think that's the coolest thing about a capstone course.